This is Triplo AI. It's an AI assistant that runs on any desktop or mobile device. We're talking Mac computers, Windows computers, even Linux computers, and of course, it works on Android as well as iOS. On the surface, Triplo might seem like a clone of the ChatGPT app. You can invoke it with a key command. I'm using Option Space, and then I can ask it a question, selecting whatever model I would like to utilize. It can even run local models, and you can connect it up to your own API key if you want to use the latest Claude models or, like I'm using right now, GPT 5.1. I can ask normal questions like I might do on ChatGPT, like tell me about the best restaurants in Austin, Texas. It'll generate the results, and everything's looking pretty familiar here, but we are only scratching the surface of what Triplo can actually do. My name is Dave, and I'm here to help you find the best tools to get ahead with your online business. This video is sponsored by AppSumo, who is currently offering Triplo AI as a special lifetime deal. You can currently get Triplo AI for as low as $59 as part of AppSumo's Black Friday deal, but you do need to act quickly as prices go up in about 5 days. Every day this week, AppSumo has been doing drops where they bring back 4 to 6 of their most popular deals. I've done breakdowns of each and every drop. My drop 5 video is coming out very shortly. Each drop offers tools at a discounted rate, but the prices increase after 7 days. So Monday's drop is going to increase in just a few days. Go ahead and check out those tools right away to make sure you lock in the best prices. Now, Black Friday is far from done. We still have many more things to look forward to, including the site-wide discount that starts November 23rd. If you want to keep up with everything AppSumo is doing this Black Friday, you are in the right place. Make sure you get subscribed to this channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single update. My thanks again to AppSumo for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's dive deeply into Triplo AI. After you grab the Triplo lifetime deal using my link in the description, and thanks to everybody who does, you'll head over to their website and download the software for your platform. Easiest way to do this is just to scroll to the bottom of the screen and click on Downloads. They'll send you an email with all of these details as well. But you can see all of the platforms they support here. It's a plethora of different platforms. Basically, you're covered. Even if you're using a Chromebook, you'll still be able to use this tool. If you have multiple devices you want to use with your Triplo account, you can definitely do that, but you want to make sure you get the right plan from AppSumo. Tier 1, the $59 plan, only supports one device, so if you want to use multiple computers or your phone and your laptop, you'll have to move up to at least Tier 2. On the high end of things, you can go all the way to Tier 5, which supports 30 devices. After Triplo is installed on your computer, you can activate it with a key command. For me, that's going to be Option Spacebar. That's the default on Mac. You can change this, by the way. Just head over to the gear icon and then look at the custom hotkey and set this to whatever you like. This is also the same screen where you can add in your API keys for OpenAI, OpenRouter, and Anthropic. There's a ton of preferences, most of which are turned on by default, but you will need to use your own API key if you want to utilize voice features. We'll come back and take a deeper look at these settings a little bit later on in the video. As I showed you in the intro, the easiest way to get started here is just to start writing simple prompts to Triplo. It's going to use whatever model you have selected up here. Now I've turned off my OpenAI API key to show you just the built-in integrations. These will be included with your AppSumo limits. That's going to refer to the number of AI tokens that you get. So on the low end, 2 million tokens, and on the high end, 60 million tokens per month. What's so great about Triplo is that it's a desktop application. It has access to everything on your computer. It's not stuck inside of a Chrome extension. For example, here's a transcript of a meeting I had with an imaginary client. I've got it up inside of Apple Notes. Now I'm scrolling through it and I promised this client a lot of things. I want to make sure I don't forget anything. So I'm going to use Triplo to help me highlight my to-do list. I'll just select the entire note, use my key command to pull up Triplo, and then I'll press / selection, and then I'll say, give me a to-do list from this meeting with my client. Triplo is already reading the entire meeting, and it's going to give me that to-do list in just a moment. Here we go. I've got a complete to-do list with client responsibilities as well as agency and team responsibilities. There's even some milestones and assumptions and risk management. As soon as this response is generated by Triplo, it's also automatically copied to my clipboard so I can paste it anywhere it needs to go. Of course, there's a copy button here as well, but there's a setting that is on by default under the gear icon and copy responses to clipboard. I like that because I use a clipboard manager, so every response I get is automatically saved for future reference. But of course, Triplo has its own history built right in. Right next to the chat bubble, there is a history icon. If I click on that, I can see all of my previous chats. It's very easy to delete old chats that you don't want anymore. And if you don't want to see untitled chat as the name of the chat, go ahead and click the little AI icon and it's going to give your chat a name. Want to get a summary of that 90-minute video you don't have time to watch? Well, just grab the URL, pull up Triplo, start typing scrape, and then paste in the URL. As long as the video has captions, Triplo will be able to grab the transcript and then you can ask it further questions. Like, what stories were covered on this week's Dignation? And here we go. I've got a list of all of the topics covered on this week's episode, along with a brief summary. It even offered to pull some quotes for each story. Now, I'm able to continue chatting on this topic because I have chat mode enabled right up here. If I click this button, everything seems to disappear, but in reality, I'm just having one-off questions with Triplo. So this is great if you're changing topics rapidly. Of course, since all of your responses are saved to the clipboard, you could always do /clipboard to bring up the most recent response and give it that as part of your context. So I just threw a lot at you there. One thing we learned was that Triplo can scrape any URL. I used an example of a video, but it could be any article that you might be reading. Just start typing scrape, and we actually have examples of 3 different smart prompts. One, we can scrape a web page. One, we can scrape a web page as HTML. It'll actually give you the HTML code. And we can also scrape a web page and turn it into Markdown. Like I mentioned, these are examples of smart prompts, and we can see the actual command here: scrape HTML, and scrape mark. That's what I'd want to type if I want that specific smart prompt. Now, we can create our own prompts by clicking on this icon, the third one from the right, and choosing My Prompts. Now, we've got a screen where we can create our own prompt. There are 3 different types of prompts in Triplo. We've got normal prompts, inline prompts, and context prompts. Let me tell you about what each one is. Normal prompts are only used at the start of a query or right after a context prompt, which we haven't learned about yet. One example of a normal prompt that they give in their documentation is to write a birthday message. So here is the example. Let's say the command is birthday and the title was write a birthday message. I've given it the description of generate a nice birthday message for posting on Facebook walls, and then my actual prompt is going to be generate a kind and warm birthday message for person's name. Now let's go ahead and save this one, and we'll return to the home screen to try this out. Now I'll start typing birthday. I don't have to type very far, and my prompt shows up. I'll press return to select it, and I'll enter in a name here. I'll just say Jim. It's going to start generating the message and then copy to my clipboard so I can easily paste it into Facebook or wherever I'm wishing someone a happy birthday. All right, so here's my output. It gave me several different options to choose from, which could be good, or it might be more than you actually want. Maybe you just want a single response that you don't have to think about and is automatically copied and pasted onto your clipboard. Of course, you could go back into your prompts here and refine things to be a little bit more specific. Just hit the edit button and you can change it to get the results that you want. I'm not going to mess with this any further because honestly, I'm not going to use this prompt, and I suspect you might not either, but the ideas can start churning about ways that you could actually create useful smart prompts. So quick refresher, our birthday prompt was an example of a normal prompt. We can also create inline prompts, which as the name implies, can be used inline in our queries. And you can even use multiple inline prompts in the same query. Here is an example. I've created a prompt called professional, and the title I've given it is professional writing, and the description is write in a professional style. For reference, the title and description are for you to understand what the prompt means as you are working on the fly and trying to figure out which prompt you actually want to invoke. There are hundreds of smart prompts that are included by default, so you'll want to make sure you choose the correct one. The prompt itself is what is fed to the AI, so that is very important that you get it right. In this scenario, I've made the description and the prompt the same thing because I don't think I need to be any more specific than this. Now, what I can do is save this and go back to the home screen. I can actually combine the 2 prompts that I've already created. So I want to write a professional style birthday wish. I'll type BI to start writing the birthday message, hit return to autocomplete that, and then I'll do /P for professional. I've only got one that starts with P, and now I can say Jim, and I should get a birthday message to Jim in a professional style. And here we go. Everything worked perfectly. I've got 3 options of professionally written birthday messages. Now, if I wasn't happy with these results, there are options at the bottom here to change my prompt, to regenerate the response using the same prompt, or I could just start over and clear the conversation. All of the smart prompts that I create, as well as the existing smart prompts that come with Triplo, are assignable via hotkeys, meaning that you can invoke them really quickly. So let's go ahead and check this out. Under Settings and then Hotkey Settings, I can create a hotkey for any prompt. Now, this is also a nice way to view all of the smart prompts that come with Triplo. Now, let's say I wanted to translate to Turkish as spoken in Turkey. I'm going to choose that. I've assigned this prompt the hotkey Control T. You can also add in a second modifier if you are having trouble finding one that works for you. Now, the next time I'm reading a document and I really want to translate something into Turkish, I can just select the line I want translated and press Control T. Wait a moment for the AI to process, and I should have my translation here in a second. And there we go. Now, you can't see it, but there is a visual cue on my screen that Triplo is actively working. There is a green dot that shows up when Triplo is active, and when it's working, it shows up as orange. So that lets you know that the AI is currently churning on something. You can probably see now why using these hotkeys could really speed up your workflow. You can create a hotkey to respond to the most common questions, or we could even refine our birthday hotkey to make sure it only outputs the correct style of response with no further editing necessary. Similar to smart prompts, but a little bit different, are custom instructions. These are instructions that will begin the query, setting the stage for the AI in terms of who we are and how we would like to receive a response. So maybe you only want to receive JSON output, or maybe you're trying to do those Facebook birthday messages and you only want to receive plain text with nothing other than the birthday message. Well, you can set that up over here with your own custom instructions, set a title, provide a little background information about yourself, and then give some context for how you'd like to receive responses. It's easy to choose which custom instructions you want to have on for any given prompt. As soon as you add your first custom instruction in, you'll see some arrows over here. If you click on those, you can choose an active custom instruction. And don't worry, you'll always be able to tell which one is on because there is a nice green badge that shows up when you have custom instructions enabled. Next, we're going to talk about a feature that Triplo refers to as minds. You might think of this as a knowledge base, or basically providing your own data set to train the AI on. This is one of the most exciting applications of Triplo in my mind, and I already think all of the other features are very cool. So I'll just click over here where it says Create New Mind, and I'm going to title it YouTube Transcripts. Now, every time I create a video to upload to YouTube, I also transcribe it. I made a video about my process to do this recently. Check out the recent Mac Whisper video to see how I do that. Now, what I'm going to do is add in a recent transcript here. I can add as many as I like as long as I don't go over 200,000 tokens. And I can either do this via a URL or just adding in the files locally. I've added in my recent drop 4 transcript, which was, I think, roughly about 30 minutes. And you can see that it took up 7,000 tokens. So I'd be able to add quite a few videos in here. Now, for me in this example, I'm adding video transcripts. For you, it could be recent client meetings or other important documents for your company. Essentially, anything you want to be able to chat with the AI, add it as a mind, and you can select that at the time you do your query. Now, I'm going to go with a single transcript right now. Of course, I could add in more data if I wanted to, but keep in mind, the larger your mind is, the longer it might take to actually train the LLM on the mind. It says up to 3 minutes, so not an extreme amount of time, but you can see it work here. As I hit save, it's only going to take a second for this single video. So back over on the home screen, I'm going to choose the arrows next to the brain icon here, and I'll choose my YT Transcripts Mind. Again, I get a little badge up here. This time it's blue to indicate that it's a mind, and I can begin chatting with my transcript. I'll say, what was the name of the AI assistant in drop 4? And there we go. It found the name Triplo AI. You might see how that could be useful if you've got some large contracts or company documents. You need to find some specifics very quickly. It can go ahead and find it for you. All right, let's head back over to the gear icon here and talk in some more depth about some of the settings that are available to us, as well as how we can actually add local models so that our data never goes to the cloud at all. First of all, I'm going to run through all of the preferences here so you understand what they are. Inline scraping is going to give us the ability to extract the information on URLs. We saw that feature earlier. If it's not working for you, make sure you have that turned on. Auto scroll just shows you the response as it's being generated in real time. It's on by default. Most people like this, but if you want to turn it off, you can do that. That way you can easily scroll through a certain part of the answer as it's still being created. Voice features. You can actually chat with Triplo as a voice assistant. It can output in voice and you can input in voice. It's not going to be as seamless as ChatGPT's app, of course, but in order to do this, you have to use your own API key. I've already added in one here from OpenAI, so as soon as I turn this on, voice features become enabled. Just to show you back on the home screen here, now I have a microphone icon. Tell me about the best restaurants in Massachusetts. All right, now I've got my output here. As soon as the output is complete, I'm going to have a little speaker icon so that I can actually listen to the response.
Here are some of the best restaurants in Massachusetts, known for their exceptional cuisine and dining experiences.
There are some settings for the voice features. There's a little gear icon right here. It's very inconspicuous, easy to miss if you're not paying attention. But here we can choose which voice actually is reading back the answers to us and change the playback speed. There is an option over here to turn off automatic responses. So if you have this on, you don't have to click the little speaker icon. It'll just read the answers to you. Next up is awareness mode. That gives Triplo the ability to see what's on your screen. Like when you select text, it can actually see that. Listen to clipboard enables that prompt where we grab information from our clipboard. Copy responses to clipboard is something we talked about earlier. Every response is automatically going to be added to our clipboard. Very crucial if you're using a clipboard manager. Then we've got a shortcut to clear the chat. If you don't like the smart prompts and you want to turn them off only using your own prompts, you can go ahead and turn off those general smart prompts. And then we can turn on notification sounds, confirmation for automations, which we have not talked about yet, and turning on Triplo at startup, which I recommend doing if you're going to be using this regularly. You want it on all the time. One more thing, status dot. I mentioned the status dot earlier in this video. It's hiding in the corner of my screen, not part of the screen capture. But if I want to see what it's doing all the time, I can have it always on, and now I can see it. It's a little green dot in the corner because it's active but not actually working. I think most people will probably want to hide it on idle and only have it turn on when it's doing something. Of course, if you never want to see it because you're doing screen recordings or something like that, you can definitely disable it entirely. Those are all of our preferences, but there's still more settings to check out. Right up here, we've got local LLM settings. Now, this is really cool because we can actually add in our own LLMs, run them on our computer if we've got a powerful enough machine, and then not have to use any of our cloud credits. Now, keep in mind, this feature is reserved for tiers 3 and above over on AppSumo. I want to point out that bring your own key is available on all tiers. That's a nice touch because some tools hide that for higher tiers, but this means that Triplo will essentially always be available to you, even if you have to pay for your own usage, which I think is fair. Next up, I'm going to show you how to install an LLM on your own machine to keep all of your data private. It's never going to go to the cloud. This is going to take just a minute, require a smidge of technical expertise, but it's not going to be that bad. I'm going to head over to ollama.com and download for macOS because that's the platform I'm on. I'll install it into my applications folder, and then I'm going to use Spotlight to launch it. So Command Space, type O, there it is, and it is now going to get permission to run on my machine. Next, we want to look at the GUI for Ollama. Unfortunately, when you open it using Spotlight, they actually just add it to your menu bar. So click up there to get a GUI that looks something like this. What we're going to do is download a model locally. I'm going to download Gemma 3 from Google with 1 billion parameters. The size of the model that you can run on your machine will depend on your specs. So with that selected, I'm just going to write a prompt to trigger the download. Doesn't matter what you say here, just write a message, and now the model begins to download. In this case, it's about a gigabyte, 778 megabytes. We get the answer, and this just took place on our computer locally. Back over in Triplo, if you're not still there, go to the gear icon and then choose this little icon at the top that says local LLM settings when you hover over it. And in the field here where it says local LLM provider URL, you're going to type localhost 11434. That's going to be the default location. Then go ahead and hit save. You'll be able to see your locally downloaded models here. Now in my list of AI models, I've got my local models. It says local Gemma 3 1B. That's what we downloaded from Ollama, and I can begin using it right inside of Triplo. No information is shared back up to the cloud. I can even use it in combination with my mines. So I'm going to ask it to tell me the name of the website builder in Drop 4. There we go. It got it. Breezy. My transcription didn't spell it correctly, but it found the right answer. Now, as though Triplo wasn't already doing enough, I'm about to blow your mind because it can do automations as well. This means we can take information that Triplo creates and send it anywhere on the web, like our cold email platform, our CRM, our website. The possibilities are quite literally endless. Let me show you how this works. I've already created an example of a simple automation. It involves a smart prompt as well as an automation. So I'm going to go under my prompts here, and I've created this prompt, find emails from URL. I'll show you everything here. It's very simple. The command is email extractor. The title is to find emails from a URL. And basically the prompt, the most important part, says, go to a website, look for the best person to cold email, and then also write a 2-sentence summary about that company. Output only to JSON with the parameters email and summary, the two things that we want to add into our mystical CRM or wherever this data is going to go. So remember, that's just a regular old prompt. Now I've got my automation, and you can see automations are active already. It's got the little purple one. And if I choose the arrows here, we can see the active automation is called lead extractor. Let me show you how I set that up. The lead extractor is just plain English. Don't let this overwhelm you. I've given it a name and I gave it a very simple description to add new leads to our CRM. Then I've entered in 2 parameters here. I could even set these up again for you so you can see it in real time. Parameter is going to be called email, and then the description is find the email in the JSON. I can just write in plain English here. You don't need to be technical. Then we're going to say this is a string. We could also choose numbers or Boolean. And then I'll add in one more parameter for our summary. And once again, I'll say find the summary in the JSON. JSON is great for this type of application because it's a language that computers understand, and it'll be really, really accurate at mapping things if there's not AI along the way to make sure everything ends up in the right place. Okay, then I'm going to hit the next button here, and on this screen, I'm simply going to enter in the webhook URL where I want the data to end up. I'm using N8N. I've got a blank workflow here. The only node I've added is a webhook trigger. We'll open this up, and you can see I've set it up with a post method and then no authentication. I give it the path lead extractor. And that's it. That's all I did. Just grab the URL right up here, head back over into Triplo, and pro tip here, if you find yourself going back and forth between the browser and Triplo and you're getting frustrated because the Triplo window hides by default, you can pin it up here and then it won't go away. So I've pasted in my URL here. The webhook headers you can leave blank. The request type should match N8N. So if you remember, that was set to post. And then as far as the payload goes, I just chose suggested payload and it created the perfect output for me. Hit save, and now we are ready to put this into action. One other note before we test this out, you do need to choose a model with a larger context window. We are going to be sending a lot of data around, and you can max out a context window on one of these smaller models a lot faster. So I'm using GPT-4o Mini 128K for this example. All right, let's enter in the prompt. So we're going to use our extract email prompt. I'm going to grab the Basecamp URL here. So we're going to extract data from Basecamp, and then I'll say send to webhook. Now the magic should begin. It's going to go out to Basecamp, find an email address, and also summarize it. You can see it's already done here before I even finish speaking. We've got the summary, we've got the email. This is a different format than we've seen from the output, right? This is the JSON automation request. In fact, it says down here, waiting for automation. If you remember earlier, we went to the gear icon. One of the options there was to ask for permission to run automations. So I'm going to leave that on. You could turn that off if you get more confident with your automations and just have everything fire off automatically. But for now, let's go ahead and hit submit. But before I do that, you do want to make sure that your automation is actually turned on, or you're listening for a test event. Now I have turned on this automation, so we should see an execution come through here momentarily. All right, with both screens up, I will hit submit. All right, it is calling, and you can see right over there, it shows up that it succeeded. We're going to hide Triplo here on the home screen. The pin button is at the bottom, so I'll unpin that, and let's go over to N8N. If I open this up, we should see all of our information. And sure enough, down here, we've got our body that includes the email as well as the summary. It'd be very easy to take this information and send it off to the next destination, whether that's your CRM, your cold email tool, or even just a Google Sheet. So that is Triplo AI. By anyone's standards, I think it is a very impressive package of AI tools. I think it's going to change the way I use my computer on a day-to-day basis. I'm quite excited to put it into full-time use. Let's just go over the plans here again quickly, make sure we didn't miss anything. On tier 1, you get a single device, 2 million monthly credits, and 50 total prompts. You do not get access to automations or training data, so that is very important to know. You also cannot use local models. Once you move up to tier 3, that's when things become fully unlocked, so to speak. We get access to all of the features. So AI training becomes available, that's the minds, and then our automations also become available. Notice we get 10 per device, so that's just gonna scale up as you go to the higher tiers. You'll get 300 total AI trainings, minds, but you're still limited to that 10 per device. The number of smart prompts available skyrockets by the time you get to tier 5, up to 1,500. If you are considering a higher tier, tier 4 or tier 5, definitely consider grabbing AppSumo Plus before you do so. It's gonna save you 10% off of the total purchase price. Yes, AppSumo Plus is $99 a year, so it doesn't quite balance out, but if you're buying tier 5, you're gonna get there in the next calendar year. I think Triplo is an amazing tool. I'm gonna score this one a 9.3 out of 10. Definitely one of the higher scores in the history of this channel and the highest one in recent memory. If you've got any questions about Triplo, AppSumo, Black Friday, self-hosting, or anything that you hear covered on this channel, hit me up in the comments. I'd be happy to help you out. Get subscribed if you're new around here. My thanks to AppSumo for sponsoring today's video. My name is Dave once again. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next review.